Hello and welcome to another video. I'm Mads, and today I'm going to answer the question if the AutoBeam headlights were worth it or not. So if you don't know, recently I've took my F-Type 2 LR retrofits to get not one, but two activations. One was Dynamic Eye and the other was Auto High Beam, which you can watch by clicking on the top right hand corner of the screen or in the link in the description down below. Of course, I couldn't really show Auto Beam headlights in the daytime, so here are some dashcam footage of me driving the car at night with the auto beams. Interestingly, unlike a Mercedes, you don't put the auto beam in its high beam mode. Instead, you leave it in the dip beam mode, and then the car sorts out the rest. So here's me driving along an A road with beams on. Now, in the E-classes that I drove, the dip beams would gradually dip and gradually go to main beam, but in this it's very instantaneous. It just dips straight away, and generally speaking my experience with auto beam has been really good, though a quick caveat: you can't get matrix LEDs on the F-Type as you can with other JLR products, which is where they dip part of their beams rather than all of them. So here's the first dip already, which is perfectly on time, passing by not one, but two cars. Correction, three cars. And then the car goes back into main beam mode. Here's another street that I'm driving along. Here comes another car, perfectly dips, and back to main beam. So nothing much to report here. The dip beams also work very well on corners as well, even from afar, so even if I'm turning or mid-cornering, the car still dips its beams, which I find quite useful because when I'm driving spiritedly on a national speed limit, like an S-bend or a twisty road, it is a bit inconvenient having to take my hand off the steering wheel to dip the beam, thus limiting my grip on the wheel. Even driving at 30-mile-an-hour zones, the car will auto dip, and once it senses street lights, it will also dip as well. Once again, nothing to report here. All is well here. Okay, so that was me driving one night, but I've also driven a second night where I've got some dashcam footage as well, where things get a bit more mixed bag, shall we say. So here I am driving along this B road. Automatically the headlights dip from afar. So everything fine here. There were a few cases where oncoming drivers still flashed at me, so maybe from a very long distance the car does not sense oncoming cars. And sometimes if there's two cars coming and there's a slight gap, the car would basically go back into its main beams for a split second, only to dip once again. Luckily this corner worked very well, and it dipped on time. And another one going the other way. And I got a lot of twisties, and so there's one that dipped for a split second. I've got a lot of twisty road footage here because that's where I thought the auto dip may start to get a bit weak or show its weakness, but here it's working perfectly well. On the straights I have no issues at all. Once again, if I had to be critical, is that it's not multi-beams, so it doesn't partially dip, it just dips all the way. And if you are used to multi-beams, that could be a bit of a disadvantage. Here comes another dip. Unfortunately, the oncoming car did not dip. So yeah, there was a split-second main beam there in between those two cars. As I was saying, if you're coming from a Mercedes, the operation may be a bit confusing. You leave the stalk in its dip position, you twist it into its auto position, so your auto lights, and that automatically puts it into AutoBeam, and you just let the car do its own thing. Of course, it still dips for traffic lights as well. And if the two oncoming vehicles are close by, it won't do that flash in between. And another reason why I've filmed in country roads is that when I had the E53 without the multi-beams, driving through country roads, or rural roads I should say, the car was not keen on going into main beams at all, even though there was not a single car in front. So luckily that disadvantage is not the case here. One last oncoming car. Okay, so that was a little overview of my experience with AutoBeam headlights. Personally, I think it's a 9 out of 10, and I do recommend getting them activated if your car does not come with it. And once again, a huge thank you to LR Retrofits for his service. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching me talk about my experience with AutoBeam headlights. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you are new, ring the bell to stay up to speed, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.